All right, welcome back to Metropole Television. This is BusinessAM. Abraham, good morning.
Good morning.
Looks like 2020 for the government has started.
It has.
It has started.
With a bang.
With a bang, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at that big story that we're talking about this morning. We are talking about cabinet or government reshuffles. But most importantly, these are the two ones that we're looking at, Abraham. We're looking at exits from the cabinet, but most importantly, we're looking at these two major dockets because, as we know, agriculture and the treasury are the biggest dockets when it comes to talking about the economy of Kenya. Now, Wendy Kinjuri has been fired. We're going to talk about that shortly. And now we have Wotich has gone home.
Yes, gone home. The
two gentlemen that are coming under this is Peter Munya, and we're talking about Yatani, who's been in an acting capacity for all this time. He now takes over this docket. But the question this morning that Abraham was supposed to look at is how these two dockets are supposed to support agriculture. Because that's exactly what the president was really tough about. Okay, let's therefore table this conversation this morning as we ask the question as it started 2020 as we expected. Abraham, let's go back and look at CS Kinjuri. From where you sit, what has taken him home?
I think it's a series of issues.
Yes.
And you saw he's one of the few cabinet secretaries where the president would actually lash out in public.
Yes.
So when somebody does something in public, it means he's run out of space in the private,
yes,
in the private arena. But whereas you may not be privy to the actual reason why he has gone home, I think we can only sit and speculate that he was goofing on too many issues, especially the maize issue never went away. Yes. You remember at some point the Strategic Food Reserve and the ministry were at loggerheads as whether to import or not to import.
Yes.
And the report was due, and that report never surfaced. So some of those things maybe have built up to that. There may be other undertones that you and I may not know, but what we must agree is that agriculture is very critical.
Yes.
And you see now they've added one more docket to it. Now cooperatives
yes,
is in that ministry. So that
yes,
it's a huge ministry.
Yes.
It's a ministry that, well supported, can drive this.
Yes.
Don't forget, there's also a master plan that was launched about 5-6 months ago, an agriculture master plan.
Yes.
To reclaim semi-arid area, because Kenya is about almost 85% arid and semi-arid.
Yes.
To reclaim part of that, and more importantly, to uplift the household income of people in agricultural areas.
Yes.
So it's a grand plan. So probably maybe the president feels that he needs somebody else to come and drive that. And
yes.
That's why maybe he has brought in Muthogo Kagwe. Because in these 2 years, if he can deliver that, because if you can increase household incomes there, you will spur this economy, because what will happen is the household income will go up.
Yes.
The demand will go up. People will need to produce more. We need more production capacity. People will get jobs.
Yes.
And that's how it would go.
Yes.
And not forgetting that now, if you expand the value chain in agriculture, we have more players. And you see, when you say agriculture, we think of farming. It's not farming only, because farming is only at the beginning.
Yes.
But if you put proper value chain, you see, like, let's take, for example, avocado. Avocado is grown by the farmer. But when it leaves and comes as the fruit with the seed in the middle, you can pulp it, you can make it. So the people who do all those things don't necessarily have to be farmers.
Yes.
Don't even have to know farming. They just need to know how to do stuff with what and add value. Because the more you add value, the more you get more return on it.
Yes.
So in a nutshell, yes, this is a critical docket, and maybe the president has his mind about what he wants to do with it.
Yes.
And don't forget, at the end of the day, he has that discretion by law.
Yes.
He can choose. He can even fire everybody and run the government himself. All that is allowed.
Yes. Yes. I just want us to go back and see what the World Bank is telling us as we look at exactly how Kinjuri has performed over the past couple of years.
Yes.
Now, they're telling us that that our Kenyan economy in 2020, if everything goes on the way it's going, we do expect us to touch the 6% growth. But then they come to agriculture, which we do know is the biggest contributor to our GDP. Yeah. But they tell us, look, this one is going to grow by 5.9%. I'm not saying the 0.1% is a big difference, but does that start to show you that, well, if your biggest contributor to your GDP is going to grow at 5.9% and the economy is projected at 6%, that's where the problem begins now?
You see, I have a lot of respect for the World Bank.
Yes.
But I think they are also sometimes limited in some things that they say.
Yes.
Because you see, if the master plan that I'm talking about works, we will do more than 6% in agriculture, no doubt about it.
Yes.
So it is they're probably expressing pessimism as to whether that plan will be executed according to it's supposed to.
Yes.
But personally, I think it will be executed because it is the only way out. Because if 85% if 80% of an economy is in a certain sector, and that sector is bad, you'll feel the. So yes, World Bank may be taking a certain position.
Yes.
Saying that it will grow less than the national average. But personally, I take a different view because I think that plan should work.
Yes.
It's a workable document. It just needs a driver, and I think Muthogo could drive it.
Yes. Yes. All right. I just want us to go back to exactly how the agriculture sector now looks right now.
Yes.
I just wanted to talk about the maize in this country, and I just want us to talk about the cost of production, the availability of market, and then we look at exactly what goes into availability of water to support this growth. And I also want to look at avocado growth. Now, you do know, in the whole of 2019, you and I kept on talking. Everybody celebrated that Kenya had got a market in China. But as we speak now, these farmers are still not exporting the avocados to China because now we've not met the basic requirements to actually start exporting avocados to China. Number two, the maize production in this country. I mean, we are in trouble right now because for the very first time, we seem a bit comfortable that the price of maize is actually higher than the price of wheat in the economy. And as if we're left up there and nobody actually get talk about anything. Number two, sugarcane. Do you believe that from where you sit right now, that in just under 2 years, Peter Munya would come in and say, number one, I'm going to actually clean the business of maize production in this country. Number two, sugarcane, we'll start to see it. Number three, the number of cartels that we have in the agriculture sector are going to start diminishing. Is it to the level of just management, or we just need to change our structures and start with thinking of what we can and cannot do in the next 2 years? It's a bit late.
Yeah, you see, you've picked three commodities.
Yes.
But if you look at them, if you look at all our agricultural commodities,
yes,
the story is the same.
Yes.
Number one, we export them in primary as primary products.
Yes.
We just grow an avocado, we pluck it, we clean it up, and we sell it out.
Yes.
Our coffee, we dry it, we sell it off.
Yes.
Our fish, we almost sell it whole or in fillet. Now, that is our problem number one. We should add more value before we send it out there. Or even bring those people we are sending to, let them come here. If you're sending a coffee to Nescafe, let Nescafe come here. If you're sending our Paretram to Rekit,
yes,
let them come here.
Yes.
Number two, cartels. Cartels is just not here, it's everywhere. And it's people, cartels work in a way that they raise the barriers to entry so high that nobody else can come.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to deal with them. But more importantly, we need to evaluate commodity by commodity. Is it true that we should be growing all the commodities, all the crops that we are growing? The answer is no. But the question is, which one should we grow and which one should we stop?
Yes.
Now, I do not want to sit here. I may have my mind about what I think, but I think it's high time, especially look at the sugar, for example. We export, we have a shortage of sugar here in Kenya by design.
Yes. Yes.
So even if everybody went to full capacity, we'd still need to import.
Yes.
Now, the sugar we import, despite all the levies we put on it, is still cheaper than our sugar. So what does that tell you? From an economic perspective, there's a law of comparative advantage, that you should do those things that you have a comparative advantage over your neighbors. Now, clearly, Brazil or whoever that sugar comes from has a comparative advantage over us. So maybe we want to think about whether our sugar farmers should grow something else. Should they grow avocado? Or should we find a way of producing this sugar more effectively?
Yes.
Coming lastly to maize. Why is maize more expensive than wheat? There is absolutely no reason. Don't forget, we produce at planting and at harvesting, we have more maize than we need. But by the time we harvest it, we store it, we transport it, we mill it, we send it to the final user, it is less than we need.
Yes.
So that's why always the debate of importing.
Yes.
So we need to clean up this chain, this logistical chain, number one. Number two, why does it cost so much? Why is unga even beyond 50 shillings
yes,
per kilo? Why should it be? So those are some of the things, because, if we can find a way of feeding our people, and you see, everybody eats ugali.
Yes.
If we can feed our people properly, because maize, even the areas maize grows, when you look at it by and large,
yes,
they have no water problem. Because you talk about that Kitale belt, the Rift Valley, the Upper Rift Valley, that's where most of our maize come from. So at the end of the day, I think even for the new CS, I think we need to clean up the logistical chains for all the commodities, because we lose a lot of our produce, which has, you've produced it, but then it goes to waste between production and end user, or rather to the place where it's processed, in transportation and especially in storage. You always hear the aflatoxin. Why do we have to go that route? We have the scientists, we have everybody who knows how to do things properly.
Yes.
Why don't we do it properly?
Yes.
Yes, of course we cannot only get it 100% right, but let's minimize the losses. Because all that is lost, it's a big loss to the economy in terms of food, in terms of so many things.
Yes.
So answering your question generally, agriculture could be done better, commodity by commodity, and generally. But we have to change the way we do things. First and foremost, we have to move away from producing for the sake of producing, for sending our commodities primary.
Yes.
I'm personally very against that.
Yes.
Because basically we are selling ourselves short. Because take an avocado. An avocado, by the time it leaves, most of the people who buy it to export will buy it between 12 shillings and 20 shillings a piece. You Google one avocado, not so big, on the European market and supermarket, is between 3 and 4 euro.
Yes.
Now you do your math. 20 shillings versus 400 shillings. If half of that value stayed here, what would happen? Our rural areas would become urban. Now translate that to all other commodities, to fish, to coffee, to tea, to pyrethrum. Our economy would just boom.
Yes.
Because the amount of purchasing power that would be out there,
Yes.
they would demand so much, would have no reason why not to produce more.
Yes.
Yes.
Abraham, critics towards all this build-up of Mange Chunjuri getting kicked out of office, they said that the blame first should go to the big office. Now, do you think that it's taken us so long, therefore, just 2 years to the end of Uhuru Kenyatta's term, that's when we're kicking this guy out of the office, when in reality, that our problems were not. And I just want to point you back to what exactly Uhuru Kenyatta was doing last year, that everybody looked at and said, no, we don't need this. Now, you remember, he actually did give billions of shillings to coffee farmers in this country, as opposed to using that money, number one, to come up with Agriculture Finance Corporation, which were well known to promote agriculture in our economy some years back, which, as we know, were left out of the grid. Number two, the textile industry in the country. We also saw what he was doing. He went across the country and started actually reviving them without in reality thinking about the end process. Yes, we're reviving them. But number one, have we educated farmers? Have we enabled these farmers who are actually going to go and utilize these textile industries that we're trying to promote? So when you look at it from that perspective, Abraham, would you say that this guy who's now taking the bigger blame, that we indeed need to blame him for actually the plight that is facing the agriculture sector in this country? I mean, he's preaching about the big four agenda, that this should have been well thought of before you come and say that we want to actually promote agriculture in the economy.
Okay, fine. This is what I would say.
Yes.
I think from where we sit, I think we see it simpler than it actually is.
Yes.
I think for a president, I think before he makes certain decisions, the dynamics are more than we can see, because he has more information than you and I have.
Yes.
That is number one. But it does not absolve him of responsibility. The responsibility ultimately sits with him.
Yes.
That one, there's no doubt about it. But again now, he cannot be able to do everything by himself.
Yes.
So yes, he can be let down, but again, he takes the blame.
Yes.
Now, why he took so long or too short, I would not be able to answer. Because the problem might have been other dynamics that were going on.
Yes.
And the time to do it was now. And as I say, sometimes the best time was yesterday, and the next best time is now. So that is fine. But the more important question is, and there's something you've raised, that two problems have popped up, and then what happens? We throw money at it.
Yes.
The worst thing you can do to a problem is throw money at it. Because it just gobbles the money, and the problem actually assumes another life.
Back to the problem, isn't it? Yes.
So sometimes it's good to go to root cause.
Yes.
Because like if you look at coffee, the problem with coffee is, we all know what it is. It is a marketing issue. Because the farmers never get to see who buys their coffee.
Yes.
There are people in between here. People who have always been here and continue to be here.
Yes.
They buy it at throwaway, and they make tons of money with it. That is where the problem is. Until the day we'll sort that problem out, we can throw as much money we want through that sector, and nothing much is going to happen. And ditto for all other processes. Because, as you said, there's a cartel issue, and that has to be addressed. But The only people who can dismantle cartels anywhere in the world is government. No one else can.
Yes.
Because of the size and the muscle those people have.
Yes.
Because they basically capture a commodity. You'll hear this commodity belongs to XYZ. You see, kila kitu kina wenyewe.
Yes.
But what we want is a free market economy, because that's what we are. You see? So ultimately, yes, let's give these changes time.
Yes.
Let's give them a chance. Let's give Mutai Kagwe a chance.
Yes.
Let's see what it's going to do. Because this country, we are not short of policy documents.
Yes.
No doubt about it. What we are short of is political will. So if by what President Uhuru has done is a show of political will, then maybe something will change.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I just want us to look at some of the directives that President Uhuru Kenyatta is now giving to the new man in Treasury, as well as the guys who are in agriculture this morning.
Yes.
Just warning them that he is up to the task. He's saying that he's directing now the Treasury to release more funds, and I want us to talk about what you think is also ailing the tea sector, Abraham. We do know that currently the only blame that we're being given is that there's an oversupply of tea in the world economy. That's why the prices are not actually that good in terms of bonuses. Tea farmers are getting the lowest bonuses in a decade. All right, let's therefore look at exactly what President Uhuru Kenyatta is actually now. I just want us to call it a stern warning, because it was actually a stern warning to all the cartels and the people in the agriculture sector who think that the farmer will never benefit. Let's take a look at that, and then we come back with Abraham Muthogo and talk about it this morning.
The current economic challenges facing millions of Kenyans. In his address from State House in Malaysia, the head of state sought to implore the country to shift its focus from politics to economy.
We must therefore use politics to shift the economy and indeed to address the plight of the most vulnerable members of our society. We need to use politics to better the livelihood of our fellow Kenyans.
The president went on to issue key policy directives focusing on various sectors of Kenya's economy. First up was the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, which accounts for more than 80% of all businesses in Kenya and around 75% of jobs. But due to the numerous challenges that MSMEs face in Kenya, the contribution of the MSMEs to the country's gross domestic product is only 30%, a partial contribution that the president is seeking to change through the establishment of one-stop shops for businesses to access government services.
Partnership between the government and MSMEs in the construction industry to provide doors and windows for the affordable housing program is another policy program that we intend to follow through on. In line also with one of the recommendations for policy change in the Building Bridges report, Biashara centers will be established across the country to provide a huduma type of one-stop shop.
Another key priority for President Kenyatta was the agriculture sector, which is the backbone of Kenya's economy, accounting nearly 30% of Kenya's GDP. However, the performance of key agricultural industries such as tea, which is a major foreign exchange earner for the country as well as the dairy industry, has been sliding in recent times. A situation that has been partly attributed to the undue influx of workers and middlemen that have hindered farmers from realizing the true value of their labor. This is evidenced by the fact that tea farmers who would be earning about 91 shillings per kilo for their tea are currently earning 41 shillings with 50 shillings per kilo going to brokers and intermediaries. In a stern warning, the president directed that no broker who is not a registered tea farmer should sell tea, urging players in the tea industry to look into value addition to enable Kenyan tea at a premium price in the global market.
I therefore direct the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that the Tea Regulations 2019 incorporate appropriate mechanisms to ensure that no one who is not a registered tea grower is allowed to sell it. I further direct the Ministry of Agriculture to immediately explore the option of KTDA, paying farmers no less than 50% of their deliveries as monthly payments, with the balance being paid as annual bonus. With regard to value addition, we have noted that in 2018, Kenya exported 476 million kilograms of tea, earning us a total of 140 billion shillings. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, exported 288 million kilograms, which is about 60% of our Kenyan exports. However, they earned an equivalent of about 150 billion shillings for their tea. The higher earnings for lesser tea than ours is largely due to their ability to export close to 50% of their teas in value-added form, compared to us, who export 98% of our tea in bulk format.
Now, that's exactly just a preview of what the president was saying yesterday, that he thinks should be fixed. Now, if you go on to exactly what the president's saying, is actually now looking into different sectors like coffee and tea, and is ordering the treasury now to look into how they can release funds to the tune of billions, therefore, to try and revive the different sectors that he's talking about here. I just want us to look at simple ones this morning. Tea. And he's giving us a very good example. Let's look at what Kenya exported in 2018, 476 million kgs in 2018, which just gave us around 700 million. But I just want us to look at what Sri Lanka did. With 288 million kgs, they're getting around 150 billion, all right, in terms of value when you compare them. And I just want to look at exactly what he's saying. He's saying, look, I don't think the farmer is getting a fair share of the business in the country, because there's no way now when a farmer is supposed to earn 91 shillings in terms of sales per kg, currently they're earning 41 shillings. Yes, we might look at other dynamics, and he's saying, look, I just want us to change the way in which we operate, and especially KTDA. KTDA has been on the limelight for some time now. Do you think it's time for us to start looking at different options of payment for farmers in the country, especially those ones who are into these businesses which represent the bigger chunk of our exports?
You see, I think he's just echoing what we've just said here.
Yes.
That it is a market structure.
Yes.
That is a problem, where we have farmers, and there's somebody in between, and then there's the end user.
Yes.
We want to get rid of this person in the middle. That is the only way, because if you talk about a price of 90 and the farmer is only getting 40 shillings out of it, the guy who did not grow the tea gets more than the farmer who grew the tea.
Yes.
It's very unfair. But you see, unfortunately, or fortunately for that matter, the only person who can solve this matter is the government. End of story. By creating a different, you see now he has directed people without licenses not to buy tea. You see, he has that kind of power. So the government has excess power, and it can do just about anything.
Yes.
To correct whatever it wants to correct. And the tea and all commodities can be corrected so that we make it law and fight. And it's like the Ministry of Agriculture, now that we have cooperatives, if we made cooperatives the broker, then would be halfway there. Because what you're saying, we're growing our tea, or our maize, or our tea, our sugar individually. We're coming together. We are forming a brokerage firm.
Yes.
As ourselves.
Yes.
And we are going to market.
Yes.
Now that would be fantastic if that can happen.
Yes.
And if you look at KPCU, what does it stand for? Kenya Planters Cooperative Union.
Yes.
Initially that's what it was.
Yes.
But it assumed a life of its own and forgot about the people who formed it. So what we are saying is this organ in the middle should be owned by the farmers, but should stay fidel and loyal to the people who formed it.
Yes.
So that it does not assume a life of its own. And there are ways of creating these structures and putting the legal framework to ensure that stays that way.
Yes.
Because it is the only way you can transfer value from the end to the start.
Yes.
Otherwise, the moment you create so many people in the middle, then the guy at the start gets very little.
Yes.
And we know what happens in the end. They say, you know what, it's not worth it. When they stop, then all these guys die off. But it's the economy that suffers in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, is directing that it was to say now the Treasury give its main focus to agriculture, just making sure that the chain in terms of the benefits that actually go to the farmers are actually felt. So I just want us to look at the new man coming into that docket. Peter Munya, you've seen exactly what is done in the trades and cooperatives section. But you believe that he has the capacity, to believe that he has that, that will. He's been known as a no-nonsense guy, that's fine. And we've seen he's actually bullish when he makes his comments about exactly he wants his things to be run.
Yeah.
It's only 2 years now. We're actually looking at it like that. It's just 2 years. Do you think that he has that timeline now to actually start shifting things around? Or it's going to take him some time to learn exactly what's going on before he starts acting on it?
You see, only the CS is changing.
Yes.
All the technocrats are still there.
Yes.
So it will take just one meeting for you to know what's going on.
Yes.
And decide. You see, your work is to give direction. The technocrats will tell you, there's a policy document here, this is what to be done, we want money for this.
Yes.
Your work is to go to Treasury and get it. If you don't resist what the technocrats are telling you, you'll move very fast. But now, problem comes when you come in and you want to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
You don't. That luxury of time is not there. But what is there is that document that is very well thought out that can be executed.
Yes.
Remember, even if the Treasury, because it's a directive, so they have to do it. You see, the danger is putting new wine in old wine skin.
Yes.
We have to make sure that the structures are correct for that money to come in and be effective. Otherwise, if it's put in the way things are, there'll be no effect.
Yes.
Yeah, it will just be money down the drain. Because we've done this before. So why do we want to do it the same way? But let's make sure this time around that we are saying this money is coming and it's coming to support this document, this policy document in these areas. Put money here, and this is the result we want to see.
Yes.
And we have ways of monitoring it. That way now we'll say this is working or this is not working. You see, for as long as in anything there's monitoring and evaluation, you keep checking a dipstick. This is working, stop, continue. This is not working, stop it, change
Yes.
it. Yes.
Yes. Abraham, finally, as you look at this new appointments and reshuffles, especially in the agriculture sector and the treasury sector, treasury docket, sorry, even look at where we are right now in terms of agriculture. We've started a new decade, 2020. What do you forecast our fortunes will be at the end of the year or at the end of this Jubilee's term, which actually agriculture is anchored as one of the top pillars?
See, 2020, I've had a lot of gloom, people saying very gloomy things about 2020.
Yes.
Personally, I think it's going to be a good year. And anyway, the year will only give you what you give it.
Yes.
So I think the first thing we need to drop is the pessimism. We need to drop our pessimism about the future. Yes. I think the future is, we can make the future if we want to. And if you look at Kenya, it's just a matter of, there are a lot of ifs. Mm-hmm. The political if, how will BBI pan out? There's an if, how will interest rates go? So, but it's the good thing is that we have policy around all those issues. Yes. And we have and we have policymakers who know how to do it and drive it in the right direction. So for as long as it's just a question of how many things we do right that will determine how 2020 looks like. But we cannot say here, sitting here, that it will be a gloomy year. I don't know where people are getting those things from. Yes. Sometimes also we listen too much to people talking about us. Mm-hmm. I think it's good for us to tell them about us. It's a better story. But now, if you look into most of these gloomy stories are not coming from Kenyans. They're coming from out there. People who sit in other offices and say outlook of Kenya, sitting in an office somewhere out there. I think it's good. Let Kenya tell their own narrative and let Kenyans be optimistic about their own country. And optimism brings good tidings.
Pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with the new appointments, we do expect that, yes, we're going to see a couple of changes. Good, that's exactly what we had for you this morning in terms of our economic review. Now, here's the thing. We're not leaving that alone. Now, we're actually going to delve further, especially into the tea industry in the country. That is where most of the cries are coming from. And other sectors are also crying, other industries, also crying in agriculture, because the question is, yes, the president is very specific on coffee and tea, but what about the other industries in the country that also need to be propped up? That's exactly what it is that we're going to settle into the final part of our conversation this morning. Abraham, it's been a pleasure talking to you this morning.
Amen. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, let's see what